Matthew chapter 24:20 says, pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on Sabbath. When Jesus spoke of the end of the age, he spoke of how there will be great distress, brother will betray brother even unto death. And he says, but him who stands firm to the end will be saved. In the book of Revelation, the Bible says that the mark of the beast will come out, and to him who is to die by the sword, to die by the sword, and to him who is to go into captivity, to go into captivity. And the Bible says this calls for patient endurance on the part of the saints and those who remain faithful to Jesus. And the Bible says that anyone who takes the mark of the beast will be under the wrath of God and will be tormented day and night, and there is no rest for those who take the mark of the beast. And the Bible says that all nations will hate you for serving God and being a servant of God. All nations. And the Bible also declares that when the mark of the beast comes out, the Bible says that everyone in the world will worship the beast and bow down to his image. All those whose names have not been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb. That's all in Revelation chapter 13. Not all of it, but most of it. So here's the thing. Matthew 24:20, the Lord's been telling me to tell you that you need to be caught up on your 24:20 prayer about the day that you have to take flight. Because if you do not take flight, you will end up taking the mark of the beast. In other words, if you decide, I'm going to just stay here in my apartment because I ain't going nowhere. Well, in order to stay, you're going to have to take them. You're going to say, well, we got a mortgage on this house. We're not leaving. And they're outside saying, well, then go down to that van right there and get your mark. Otherwise, see all these guys surrounding this area, they're going to tackle you, drag you, and take you down to the jail. In other words, you're going to have to take flight. It's either take flight or take the mark of the beast. And have you prayed about the day? Jesus says it right here. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on Sabbath. 1, he presumes you're going to have to take flight. 2, if it's in winter, you don't want to be running outside when it's snowing and 2 feet of snow on the ground and rainy and cold. It's a whole lot easier to survive in the summer when you might be able to find fruit trees that have fruit on them, and you might be able to get out there and go fishing, or, berries that grow. I know, like in Oregon when I was a kid, you could survive on the blackberries. There's so many blackberries everywhere. You could just eat and eat blackberries all day long. Wild blackberries. And really good. And then look what it says. Or on Sabbath. Now, why would it say on the Sabbath? You know what the Lord told me? I asked him. I said, God, what does that mean? Pray that your flight doesn't take place on... You know why? Because that's when a bunch of Christians are going to be all gathered in the church on the Sabbath. And they're going to be able to just surround that building and process everyone. And when I say process, I mean they're going to surround the building and say, anybody who's not going to take the mark of the beast, go over there. Anybody who's who wants to be set free and just leave right now, go through the process and get processed with the mark. And they're going to group everybody up, and to him who is to go to captivity, and to him who is to die by the sword, to die by the sword. That's why it says that, and pray that your flight does not take place on Sabbath, because you might have to escape from a church that's surrounded. And while you're running away, your wife and kids are back there, and you're realizing, oh man, do I run away? Do I stay with my wife and kids? Am I better off? What do I do? It's going to be, that's why you need to be prayed up about that day. And listen, peace and safety. Peace and safety. Look at the world. Peace and safety. Oh, Russia's not flying around the United States anymore, up and down the borders of Mexico and Canada. Oh, we don't have to worry about Russia. Russia must have decided they're never going to have any. They've already done all their research, and if they do the math and try and realize that there's some sort of data that they don't have about how much fuel they need to get to a certain location, what it's going to take, they'll send another flight out. But that's what they were doing. They have the data they need. They know how much fuel they need now. In other words, Russia, a few months ago, was doing flights. You don't hear of it anymore. Oh, peace and safety then, I guess. Wrong. Now Putin has done the math. He said, okay, we got 150 bombers, we got 500 jets. We're going to need this amount of fuel in order to invade the United States. So he's doing the math. He got all the empirical data that he needs now. That's why he stopped doing the flights. Now he's going to lull him to sleep. Just saying. Nothing happened September 23rd. Nothing happened. And then 2 days later, there's a blood moon. A blood moon tetrad supermoon. Something that's not going to happen again for another how many years? You think we're still with listen, if global warming isn't proof enough to you that we're in the end times, climate change, fires, tsunamis, hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, famines, and then all the unrest in the Middle East, and then Russia and China alliance with Iran, and then we got a Muslim president. I didn't see anything happen on September 23rd. Folks, that's like saying, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. That's like, maybe you didn't see anything happen, and maybe because you're blind. You know, it's like, we all want to have a day and time where the shock is going to happen. But everything is happening exactly as described in the Bible. And right now we're in a time of peace and safety. And everybody's going to forget about, the fact that Russia, you're going to see Kim Jong-un's not going to say anything about destruction to America. And Iran, you're not going to hear them saying death to America either. Everybody's going to get all quiet. And you know what scares me? That's when, let's say you have a guy who beats his wife, and usually they get into a big fight and argument. You know he's in trouble when she stops fighting. And one day she just gets real quiet. And she says, whatever you say, honey. Whatever you want, honey. Whatever you say. Because either she's got another boyfriend and she's about to slip away, or the next time he attacks her, she's going to do something. I'm just saying, the minute she gets all peaceful about everything, I'm just saying. Point is, something's up when the world gets quiet. Just saying. And we're in the end times, and if it's not global warming, it's global population. If it's not global population, it's natural disaster. And if it's not that, it's wars and rumors of wars. Have you prayed about the day you have to take flight?